sir. On my mark. 5,
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
And this motherfucker can't figure out how to get the new fucking computer to work properly so we can fucking stream. It's not like you didn't buy the fucking hardware so you could to make the stream better. Jesus
So I'm
fucking
pretty
Christ.
sure nobody could hear you either until like halfway through your rant. I love it so much. Let's do that again. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Welcome back to the old school resupply with me, guy next door.
And me fan and Steve-O's fucking useless.
Bringing DK's in. Hang on, four heads are plenty. This has been a great show. Hang on a second.
Shit.
Just come on in, why don't you?
You're supposed to fucking message and say, "Oh hey, guys, yeah, I'm
ready to come in."
Nope,
that's not how we roll here.
He's like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah."
Okay, Than is too quiet. Hang on a second. New rig setup. New rig. Hang on. How about now?
Okay, really?
New rig, who dis?
New rig. Who dis?
Yeah, Steve, you and your fucking technical problems. You are fucking useless.
Sometimes.
You do sound quiet to me too, Than.
Fucking useless.
Hang on. We're gonna boost him up in Discord. There we go. Hey, should we have another go at that again?
A go at what? I don't know what you mean.
We're just starting the show.
You mean third time might be the fucking charm?
Yeah. Welcome back to the resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Van, and Steve-O's still fucking useless.
Bringing you your faultless double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. Look at the hat! Yeah! I love it so much.
So Ducky says that he can't believe that he subbed for this shit. Honestly, Ducky, we can't fucking believe you did either. So
What you get, what you pay for.
Yeah, that's right. That is exactly right. How is the levels on everyone? Is everyone sounding good?
Good is a relative term. Don't ask that. Ask if we sound balanced.
Yeah. Do we all sound balanced, or is my way loud?
Get out of here with your technical shit.
Little more DK and no more Steve.
More Than, a little more DK, no more Steve. Perfect. I think I've done that. Never sound
Good.
balanced ever. We run a
And more DK.
we run a tight ship around here. I tell you what. It warms my soul, my lone soul, to see both of you rocking the resupply merchandise. It makes me feel unified. Makes me feel like we're doing something professional.
Good. Although it's also mashing my earbuds into my head, so I'm going to take it off temporarily.
Yeah, I don't know if anything that we do or have ever done on this channel could even remotely be considered professional. But
we try.
I don't even know that we try.
You know what? If
That'd be really overstating it.
If Twitch were handing out awards, we'd definitely get a participation medal. So I'm okay with that. Thanks everyone for coming to hang out with us. This is hopefully the last issues we have on this show.
Well, I'm very sorry. I was trying to be here on time, but the builder had to finish up a couple of things.
Let me clarify that the last issues that I have on the show from a technical standpoint.
Have you fucking met you?
Yes, I have. I'm capable. Maybe that's a present. Present is a word. Yep, I'm
Present is a word.
definitely here. Definitely here. Do you mess with Steve here or not? In the chat, you mean? Go nuts, Maddie. You earn the right. So let's do a couple. Don't mess with me in Discord. You stay out of the show, Matt. Stay out.
You're not welcome here.
Yeah. Get out.
Except for all the technical shit that we know that you do for, Steve and the channel and all that behind the scenes. So thanks for that, but stay the fuck out of the channel. That'd be cool.
Marcus is 100% right. Messing with Steve is on Thursdays. Yeah, he's turned it. If he was getting awards for messing with Steve, he'd be right up there in the top 3. He'd be podium finish, probably number 1, first equal with Smalley. So there is an air of change in my studio this evening. What, this evening? It's the middle of the day. Today. I'm so excited after the week that I've had, considering 2020 being like balls.
Shit.
Yeah.
The shit ass.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible year.
This week.
Yeah.
This week has felt pretty good. So one of our locals here in Auckland, local Laser Force players, Yappy, has assisted. He basically did all the work. Co-built a new PC for me this week, and it got delivered, and it is magnificent. It's got lights on it. You can barely hear it. It's huge, which usually means it's better, as Than pointed out to me today. He sent me a dick pic and was like, "Ooh, check it out, Steve."
Hey,
But
when you're proud of it, you have to show.
that's
show
exactly
it off.
right. I had a new mouse turn up. I went and bought a new monitor today, which thank you very much for everyone who subscribes to the channel, because you guys have actually helped upgrade the quality of the equipment that I'm using. So like from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, everyone, for the subscriptions and the bits and everything that you guys do to help us make the channel a little better than it is. But oh my goodness, this monitor. So I was looking at buying a monitor today, and I sent Than a message, and I was like, "Which one of these should I get?" And he was like, "Get the big one." I was like, "Are you sure? But it's not too big." He's like, "No, bigger is better. Get the big one." Like, okay, I got you. And I do not have an ounce of buyer's remorse. This screen is massive, and I love it. Mostly because I can see myself,
You're very narcissistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Lighting is terrible. Is the lighting terrible? It's a little blown out, I suppose. I could fix that. I'm not going to. We got more important shit to worry about. And the bottom of his empty wallet, that's exactly right, Stallion. I have no more money left. And I just got paid, so it's going to be a tight 2 weeks. Right, so... and yet the first stream after getting all the new stuff, technical issues, is because I hadn't done a stream yet, and so I wasn't sure if all the settings had carried across. They didn't. That's okay. We'll go through all of this again next D&D.
Maybe if we were professional, we would have checked that in advance.
We got on like 10 minutes to go till we went live, and I was too enamored with how good the screen looks to worry about checking any settings.
Good. You're making me feel less self-conscious about showing up late and then just barging in.
Haircut looks good, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Look at little Sean.
Yeah.
I'd also
look at you with the Daddy DK haircut. It sounds good.
Daddy DK.
I'm your daddy.
Yeah, he'd have way more leather on if he was Daddy DK.
I mean, you're not wrong. I've seen that picture. But yeah.
So one last bit of housekeeping for me, whilst I revel. There we go. Revel in the fact that we got a new PC, and once this is over, I'm going to play Forza the rest of the day. I want to wish a very special happy birthday to Old Man Than's better half, Julie, for her New Zealand birthday.
Much better half.
Yeah,
better 3/4, really.
None of these are incorrect statements.
Yeah.
I mean, none of those are incorrect statements.
Have the happiest birthday tomorrow when you end up celebrating over there. We'll celebrate here today for you, and then you take over tomorrow. So that's how we're gonna roll. did you guys want to talk about anything before we get going into today's show?
No, man, we got a lot to cover.
We do have a lot to cover. Quit fucking around.
I think we've killed enough time to let people get into the stream with our technical issues, and you know, needing to clean yourself up after describing your new computer and everything. Yeah, no.
I got some of my hair.
Oh, I gotta throw this hat away.
Cameron Diaz hair care products.
Look,
it's so great.
I'll let you in on a secret. This hair doesn't stay shiny on its own.
Blimey.
So we, as the title of this podcast would suggest, yes, Heathen, I'll stream Forza for you. I'll stream it in Discord though. So if you're around, maybe have a look on there. So yeah, we've done this style of sorry, let me say that again. We've ripped this idea off in a previous podcast.
That is way more accurate, yes.
So we thought we'd go back to the well, and there was a number of reasons we wanted to do this film of all films. Not only is it relevant to the Laser Force scene, but obviously with the very sad passing of Sir Sean Connery. Was he a Sir?
I don't remember.
I don't feel like I've usually heard him referred to as such.
Nah, I don't think so.
You know what? We're giving you a posthumous knighthood, Mr. Connery.
Yeah,
so
gingerly touch our tips on your shoulders. But yeah, so we thought we'd do it now. Obviously, we've been talking about it for a few weeks. He was a Sir? That's what I thought, Al. That's what I thought. So yeah, we did a group Discord watch party last night. There was actually would have been maybe a dozen of us in there.
Nice.
And for a couple of the viewers in there, it was their first time watching the film.
Wow. Okay.
And I did ask both of them what they thought, and both of them said they didn't know what the fuck was going on. So
it's, that is a fairly accurate way to describe that. And before we jump into like everything, so I had to rewatch it today just because the way my schedule worked out. It was today after I got off work.
Could have stayed up.
No. And I rewatched it via Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So I don't know what source you guys were using to do the community stream, but the Prime stream, it's obviously been like upsampled into HD, and holy fucking shit, it looked fucking terrible. It was there was so much digital noise in so many of the scenes, because obviously, I mean, with the movie being released in fucking 1986, it was in SD to start with, and it's now been bumped up to like, hey, we're gonna be able to like literally what the first scene coming in, it was just like, and of course these are things that are like you just notice. It's like, oh my god, there's so much digital noise there. What the fuck? Why couldn't they have just left that alone? But that was just my initial rant on just the movie looked fucking terrible because it had been upsampled and all that, just like killed. But
So Stallion said drinking every time a Laser Force Highlander sound effect was heard probably didn't help the comprehension. If only you'd been there for the Aliens Rewatchables. Cause,
yeah, I was like, that one you would just be dead.
Alcohol poisoning aplenty. Heathen got it mixed up with Braveheart. He came in and he was like, this isn't Highlander. We were like, oh, yeah, it is. He's like, no, it's not. It doesn't look like it. It's like, it looks exactly like the movie that we're watching. But DK, do you wanna kick us off? Do you wanna take the helm, if you will?
Yeah, sure do. Here we go. All right, Rewatchables Highlander coming at you. From the dawn of time we came, moving silently down through the centuries, struggling to reach the time of the gathering, when the few who remain will battle to the last. It's the 1980s, and a group of immortal swordsmen have been summoned to New York City. Where else?
Yeah.
To compete in a fight to the death for a mysterious prize that will allow the winner to control the destiny of humankind. Our hero is Connor MacLeod, the titular Highlander from the 16th century in Scotland. Pursued by an evil immortal known as the Kurgan, MacLeod has to leave his old life behind and is eventually trained in the art of sword fighting and the ways of immortals by Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, an ancient Egyptian Spaniard Scotsman, who informs MacLeod that their kind can only be killed when their heads are severed from their bodies. Awesome! But it's not all fun and games, because as Ramirez says, there can be only one, and apparently being immortal means your sperm don't work no more. Kurgan gives Ramirez the old French haircut, and MacLeod has to watch his wife die childless. Big bummer there. Flash forward back to the 1980s, MacLeod takes on the persona of a man named Russell Nash, but his true identity is eventually uncovered by NYPD forensic scientist and metallurgist Brenda Wyatt. Connor thinks she's totally smoking hot, but his plumbing don't work, so they have some risk-free 1980s sex, and he's like, peace out. But then the Kurgan kidnaps Brenda to draw out MacLeod like some sort of bad WWE storyline, and he pulls out the old katana and gets to winning that prize. Oh, Kurgan also drops that he raped MacLeod's wife back in the day. Not cool, bro. MacLeod gives him the old anime delay cut to the neck and then does some crazy shit with the quickening. A newly empowered MacLeod lives happily ever after with Brenda and hopes to give humanity a new era of tolerance and peace. And that's where we pick up with Highlander.
Very good.
Wow.
Very, very good.
Wow.
If you haven't seen that film before, boom, you just watched it. With Les Queen.
Plus Queen. Yeah.
That was the whole movie. I'm off now.
All right, that's been the resupply for this week. Peace out, guys.
Back to foreheads. Push. Wow, that was awesome.
That was actually fucking ridiculous.
That was so good. When did you watch it last, DK?
2 days ago.
Oh, okay, cool. So
I actually had to watch it in like 2 different pieces because we've had the builder in and out, and I had to like not be watching a weird sex scene while he's trying to ask me questions about what we want for the grout in between the tiles. So
right.
Yeah.
I feel like that could have been a little awkward. Yeah.
Did you say
That's just a
athlete's
little.
foot? Because that's the worst thing to go in the grout. Right. Well, should we go? Are we doing Die Hard next month? That I love me some Die Hard.
We haven't been
Find a way to make it Laser Force related because of that. It's the lane we're trying to stay in right now, so we don't step too much. I think Rewatchables on the Ringer might have already done Die Hard. I'd have to double check that, but we might be treading on old territory now.
It is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie, but you people think that we plan these things like multiple weeks in advance or something.
What do you mean, people?
Chat thinks we like actually plan this shit out in advance or something.
Yeah, no,
we barely plan anything. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we barely check our settings before we start a show. And
We
by
don't
barely,
check our
I mean, yeah, we don't. Right. Well, so what was the first category one?
Yeah, so let's go to the categories. Category 1, most rewatchable scenes.
I have a few. Do you guys have a few?
Go ahead and start. Yeah, start us out, Steve.
Okay, well, so mine are in chronological order because I made a bunch of notes, obviously, when we watched the movie last night. But, like, I think by far my favorite scene, which happens to be the first one that's in there, is the first battle scene. So, like, when MacLeod shows up on the battlefield and sees the Kurgan for the first time in his armor. And he's standing there. Oh, that one, okay. Yeah, and he's standing there in his, like, bone armor, and he's got his crazy bone helmet skull on. And somebody made a call last night about what the hell kind of skull is that? What makes that kind of skull? Which is an interesting point if you've seen the second Highlander.
I think it's supposed to be a bear.
Nope. We're not. Nope.
Oh, you're the second Highlander. Yeah, okay. No.
There was one, and that's it.
Okay. I think it's supposed to be a bear skull, but I'm not totally sure.
Well, it's like quite wide, and like it's huge. It's quite wide. It doesn't look like the prop department. 100% right, Ducky. But yeah, I think that's my favorite. And the other thing that I always remember is when the Kurgan goes for a joyride with Brenda. That's that's my second favorite like rewatchable scene. Every time that comes on, I just remember him like just giving her so much shit. And like mocking how she's screaming and stuff. I love that so much. It's amazing. What have you guys got? You guys so
Well, I
creepy,
mean,
100%
the sword fights are all kind of cool.
Yeah.
Personally, my favorite one that's in there is the duel between Kurgan and Ramirez,
yeah.
when they're fighting in the tower and it's like falling all around them
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. I think, at least from a cinematography standpoint, that's probably the best scene, or at least the best fight scene in the film. The final duel between Connor and the Kurgan is also cool, but there's something about like the dark lighting that really bothers me when they actually are like on the floor in Silvercrest Studios.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
like
like the second half better than the first half, because like when you watch it in high def and it looks all pretty average, you can see how poorly choreographed the sword fighting actually is. The dark kind of helps to cover some of that up.
And I think that's why they chose to go with that lighting.
Yeah.
So to me, that one is definitely second tier behind the Ramirez versus Kurgan duel.
Yeah, that one's on my list too. That Ramirez versus Kurgan.
Yeah. Dan, what do you got?
I mean, you guys haven't really. I mean, basically, what's on my list is what you guys have already said. It was this is actually one of those movies where, you know, there isn't really anything that like jumps out as a scene and says, you know, this is fucking amazing. You know, from a technology standpoint, at the time, the first scene when they're in Madison Square Garden, which obviously wasn't really Madison Square Garden, and
not nearly enough seats.
Not nearly enough seats. And there's the overhead camera shot that's tracking through, and you know, now you would look at that and go, oh, that's a drone shot.
At the time,
no, and at the time, like, that was actually a very technically difficult shot to do. So from a technical filmmaking standpoint, like, that is actually a very kind of cool scene to rewatch and remember that, oh, this was filmed in 85, 86, it was released in 86.
It was filmed in 85, I think. I don't think it came out until 86.
Yeah. And just knowing that, you know, to do what they did with that shot, with it being computer controlled and on rails and stuff, at the time was actually it was not an easy thing to do. It probably ate up a chunk of their budget to do that shot. And so that's pretty cool. But I mean, honestly, like, I mean, as mentioned with the, you know, some of the sword fighting scenes, and actually we'll kick that probably to things that aged badly. So we'll leave that alone for
I also didn't want to step on like half-ass internet research, but with you mentioning the technical difficulty of that shot, I feel like one reason why Russell Mulcahy, the director, might have had some more familiarity with that kind of shot is that he had sort of made his chops in the industry by doing like rock music videos and filming things like concert venues and all that. So it may have been why he kind of had that idea to be able to use that kind of wide angle rail shot to then, you know, zoom in on Connor and that huge crowd and all that.
Huge.
Huge.
I had as kind of like a bonus thing, the boat scene where they're in the boat in the lock.
Fish kill.
I love that whole scene, man. It's so fun, and like, it's, you know, obviously where McLeod finds out that he's immortal, and he like is goofy as underwater, like laughing, and and they trade insults, which are awesome. You know, he's like, actually, we'll get there. Well, this kind of leads us into number 2. Yeah, if you guys want to go into the uninitiated anymore.
At least in other rewatchable scenes of the flashbacks. So we definitely get other flashbacks of like McLeod through time. My 2 favorites are the one where he's challenging like that 18th century aristocrat to a duel, but he's super drunk and he just gets stabbed like over and over and over again. The guy keeps thinking he's won the duel, but Connor keeps getting up until he like finally apologizes for insulting the guy's wife or whatever. I think that was what it was supposed to be about.
Calls it. I can't remember what he calls it now.
or something.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. And I also kind of enjoy the origin story of Rachel, Connor's assistant, the young Jewish girl that he saves from the Nazis.
Yeah.
Because killing Nazis is always, top tier.
Is always the correct move. Yeah. And yeah, when she asks why he doesn't die after being shot, and he replies, "It's a kind of magic." So obviously a reference to another Queen song that's in there, because those are also sprinkled throughout the film.
Yeah.
Are they?
just a little.
Just a soupçon of Queen.
Yeah. Do we have other ones, or do we want to move on to?
So Al actually mentioned, I think it was Al or somebody mentioned in the screening last night that they loved the church scene, specifically the Kurgan in the church scene, and how well he plays that character in the church scene.
Oh, we're getting to that one. That one may make
a
difference in another category.
All right, number two.
I can go in most rewatchable scenes, but I have other notes about that scene in another category.
Number two.
Best quote.
Best quotes. I mean,
okay, so I think we have to, there's the obvious ones. There's the ones that show up.
You want to do the honors?
I don't know. It's one of those things like we already know as a given. There can be only one. Okay, do we really need to talk through that any more than it already is?
But all the actors give it their own flair and their own reading that's so iconic.
Yeah. The Kurgans is clearly the best.
Yeah. There can be only one.
Yeah, it's so good. The gravitas, man. It's so awesome.
You don't like the hard zoom on Christopher Lambert? There can be only one.
At the end?
Yeah.
That's so weird,
My
man.
college roommate used to make fun of that so hard. I think we actually ripped that sound file for something, and I think he messed with my computer, so every time I would start it up, it would be Christopher Lambert's voice saying, "There can be only one."
That's fantastic.
I'm a big fan of the dude who says it on Zakamiri Make a Porno. That dude's pretty funny. There can be only one. Different film. Yeah, so there's clearly that. My favorite quote is actually is actually a lyric, which I suppose counts, and it's the thing that makes me love the. Every time I hear it, I get so amped to watch this film. But it's the "Here we are." And, I love it so much. Every time we play Highlander and it plays in the maze, every time I watch the film, just fuck yeah, let's go. And I think that's partially why I love the movie.
See, so at least from a Laser Force standpoint, here's my thing on that. In the older versions of the software, the game started immediately after the Sean Connery reading of the introduction.
Yeah.
Without the Queen song.
Oh, really?
The Queen song only got added in later.
Technical thing there. The reason that it did that for us originally is because we had the North American version of the software because of license and.
Oh, so that was specifically a North American thing.
It was specifically a North American thing. When we said fuck it and installed the Australian version of the software, that was when the change happened. And then now in the Windows version, it's all the same.
But it actually threw me the first couple of times that we played it when the Queen music came on. So I still have a certain partiality to not hearing that at the game start, because based on how popular Highlander was at our site for definitely the first few years that SAC was open. Between that and Space Marines, Highlander was among the individual game formats. That was kind of the one that was considered to be the advanced game and the one that kind of proved your chops as an individual player. Little pun in there for you. But just hearing from the dawn of time we came, automatically gets my heart racing a little bit. I'm fuck, okay, gonna go in. Don't want to get missiled.
To the last. Here we are.
Yeah, the first time that happened in Sacramento, I had this very clear memory of like was going to move, paused, and went, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then continued. But yeah, there was this definite moment of, I don't know what the fuck. I mean, I know what the fuck
Where
is
did that come
happening, but I don't
from?
know what the fuck is happening.
So Al said it's the greatest part of the game Highlander. I have to agree. I did think it's the best part of the film too, in my opinion. Did you guys have any other? Well, I assume you have a bunch of different quotes that you dug.
Actually, not that many, because I mean, we do have still obvious stuff that comes in from the Laserport software. The most obvious one being the sensation you're feeling is the quickening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got quotes that aren't related to the software, because I just
Yeah.
figured that those were all. I mean,
They're givens,
those are all
right?
obvious. Yeah, they're givens. I mean, for us and the experience that we have with the game to the movie, it's like, yeah, those are all going to be things that are fine. So some of my favorite quotes, from the infamous lock training scene, the "I cannot swim, you Spanish peacock." like yep, that's, for some reason that line just strikes me as funny. It's like, okay,
You look like a woman, you stupid huggis.
yeah, there's so much there's so much good there. And then the Kurgan. I mean, how can you not appreciate the Happy Halloween ladies when he's barking at the nuns in the church? Because I mean, come on, that's awesome.
Do the full quote. Say it all. What did he do the full quote, including the noise? go do
Happy
it.
Halloween. Fuck, no, can't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now
brain locked up. It's not gonna happen. Sorry.
I'm gonna strain my voice too much trying to do the Kurgan voice, so that's not gonna happen. It's early in the pod.
I appreciate you setting me up to fail there. So fuck you.
you're welcome.
What else are friends for?
Pretty much. And then when he is basically joyriding with the old woman after he rips the guy out of the car, it's like, Mom.
Mom.
And she's like,
that was a good one. Didn't think of that one.
Yeah.
Then as they drive away, she's like, "Oh my God, Daddy, save me, Daddy!" I'm like, "What?"
Whoa. Which yeah,
daddy?
in some other context, that could go very different places. And then
Fun fact, that was actually Mike Pence and his wife.
2020.
And then from the Ramirez Kurgan fight, the tonight you sleep in hell. When Ramirez briefly thinks he's got a chance because he's cut the Kurgan's throat a little bit.
Yeah, my cut has improved your voice, I think, is a better line from that scene,
good.
Personally.
Big fan of "I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away." Now, obviously, that's not his. He didn't say that originally, but I'm glad they referenced it. It's awesome.
But it's a great reading.
Oh,
I'll
so
just say
good.
that.
So good.
I'm very partial to, again, I already mentioned it in my rewatchable scenes, when he's fighting the SS officer after he saves Rachel, when the guy's like yelling at him in German and he says, "Hey, whatever, Jack, you're the master race," and then he just machine guns him. I was like, that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah,
that was definitely when I was like, yeah, that's good. Little bit of a little bit of comic relief when you're killing Nazis is never terrible.
Well, it's so weird because they jump in and out of the comedic stuff, but it's so it's so grating when they do it.
I mean, that's kind of par for the course for a lot of 1980s stuff, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a movie that couldn't figure out what the fuck it wanted to be. So,
which is part of its charm, to be fair.
It is definitely part of its charm.
Yeah. Any other ones? I'm a man, not a fish. That's so good.
I think for quotes, I think we're pretty solid. So moving on to what's aged the best, and I'm just gonna throw this out to start with: the fucking soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
The soundtrack is by far the thing that has aged the best out of this movie because Queen just fucking murdered this soundtrack. Oh
Yeah,
my
for sure.
fucking god! And if you think that Queen didn't absolutely kill the soundtrack, you need to get the fuck out of my life because I don't need that sort of negativity around me. So, yeah.
So rewatching this film, and I realized that actually, without the soundtrack, the film is a little bit shit. And it takes it from being like an average film to being a pretty great, memorable film. And I think that's mostly due to the soundtrack. Like, the soundtrack is just so damn good. And
the soundtrack makes a big difference.
It's such a shame that nobody does that anymore. Get like a band to come in and do like all of the music for the film. That would make me very happy if somebody did that.
Yeah, it didn't really happen all that much after the 80s. I had a note on this in some other later section. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it'll come up later. But yeah, that was much more common in like the 1970s and 1980s of hiring an actual band to do a full album or full soundtrack for a film. It's something that isn't really around. I mean, you'll have a composer who will probably do a soundtrack, but in terms of like an actual like a rock band with lyrics or something like that, isn't that common anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like Dr. Dre does a lot of music production for films. Mm-hmm. Like I think he did Bad Boys 2, maybe Bad Boys 3, I'm not sure. But he like his score is very like recognizable if you know what to kind of look out for, or listen out for. But yeah, like it's real rare that a band will come in and do a soundtrack. The one that Huh?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say the one that like jumps out to mind was the Tron soundtrack from, whenever the last Tron film came out. And Daft Punk did most of the music for that.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't, it's a little different when you're an EDM group instead of like a rock band.
Well, I think part of the issue there is, I mean, Queen stylistically was not exactly a band that you could pigeonhole. Like, they could do a lot of different stuff, and within that lot of different stuff, like, you would go, oh yeah, that's Queen, partially because Freddie Mercury's voice is so distinctive and so ridiculously amazing, and can handle such a wide range of musical styles and sound appropriate within all of those styles. I think the challenge you run into trying to have a band do an entire soundtrack for a movie is really, I mean, bands tend to have sounds, and does that sound and what their ranges translate to being able to do a movie soundtrack, which is this whole other rabbit hole that we could probably go down if we really, we're that type of channel, but we're not. So I'm going to stop it there.
These four walls, they need to do a movie soundtrack.
I would buy that soundtrack.
I would absolutely buy that soundtrack
because they're real fucking good. Like,
yeah.
Everybody on the channel, if you have not gone and listened to these four walls, you really fucking need to.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, to kind of add to that, like, if you look at like Who Wants to Live Forever, that's like tonally like quite sad, and then like Al said, aren't these fours doing the soundtrack to the Resupply the musical? I would. That's my first point.
That's Josh from Dead Noise. That's doing that because we already have. So.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know if you.
Some other band.
If either of you had seen it, but we basically were talking about doing the Resupply the musical, and it was also. I can't remember what stream it was. What stream was that on, Al? What show? I can't remember. It might have been Thunderdome. I don't recall.
This is what happens when you have too much fucking content. You can't keep it all straight.
Yeah. But yeah, like for them being able to do like sad, tonal, like emotive score, and like a sad scene, like with McLeod's
getting old and
missus,
dying.
Heather.
Yeah.
That's her name.
Heather. Yep.
And then go into like the scene with the Kurgan and other lady. Fuck, I have the names written down. Brenda. Their joyride and stuff. Like it's so good to listen to. These four, Thunderdome. Yeah, I think it was. These 4 Thunderdome Thursday walls.
These 4 domes. These 4 Thunderdomes.
Just mash that shit up.
Well played, Ducky.
Did you want to add to that, DK, or you want to go into like some more what age the bests?
I won't speak for the sword fights themselves, the choreography in this film, but just the idea of having a bunch of sword fights in films is objectively cool and has only gotten better since the 80s. I feel like that's become much more of a trope of modern filmmaking, is like the hand-to-hand combat or duels with swords or some other kind of similar weapon. Yeah, and I won't say Highlander pioneered that, but certainly kind of expanded that a little bit in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because we'd already had, at that point, we'd already had Star Wars, we already had Conan the Barbarian, so it's not like it wasn't in the ether, but people running around New York City getting in sword fights still wasn't a super common thing. But I mean, we still got 2 months left in 2020. Anything could happen.
Well, and like the fact that everyone had their own style of sword as well was really cool. It wasn't just like everyone's got a broadsword and they're swinging at each other. Like Ramirez had his katana, and then like there was like the scimitar from the dude that McLeod meets up with on the bridge at the end.
Castigar.
Yeah, Castigar. Yeah, and then like the Toledo Salamanca.
Yeah, the seal sword.
What aged the best? I reckon Connor McLeod aged pretty well during the whole film. He looked pretty damn good for a 1,000. Yeah, however how old he was.
Yeah, he's only like 450 at the time.
And on that note, I think that Heather McLeod also aged pretty damn well, if you know what I mean. She was I
don't know. Old age makeup, that was a little rough, even for the 80s.
Yeah, it was. She looked good. She looked good in her old age.
That was like old age makeup on Sigourney Weaver's daughter in Aliens that we got into.
No, but like, well done, Connor McLeod. Batting above your average there, mate. Good work.
Yeah. She was definitely much nicer than his first wife.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. How quickly all of those people turned is awful. And they were like, "Should we talk about it?" She was like, "Nah, burn him." So, are you sure you don't want to hear his side? No way, man. Just kill him. Allah, so good. Anything else for burn him? Anything else for what age the best?
I think just the whole concept of the Immortals is a really fun concept, and since that spawned a whole expanded universe, I mean, we can talk about whether any of these expanded universe stories are actually good, but it's a successful concept at the least. So I guess that's aged pretty well. If you can keep getting kind of commercial real estate out of an idea, I mean, that's something.
I watched the first 15 minutes of the sequel. And I remember, I turned it off. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? They were in like a weird elevator. It was so strange. Right, well, so that will lead into number 4. What age the worst?
Every single attempt at a sequel to this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the movie sequels, and this actually goes to an unanswerable question. Why the fuck did they bother with movie sequels?
Look, some of them are good.
The movie sequels get fucked. Now,
Aliens?
No, you just mean sequels in general.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about sequels in general, yeah, but not sequels to Highlander.
Yeah, my bad. I misunderstood.
I'm talking
as my man Lejeune says, There can be only one. It's right there in the name.
Yeah, I'm talking about now. If you want to make an argument that the TV series that it spawned, which followed Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod as that was actually decent. It was decent TV. Like that I will, and it was kind of it was in the same universe, but it wasn't. Which was it was
It's
weird.
like parallel dimension, kind of.
Parallel dimension ish.
So was he a Highlander?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, Duncan was born in like the 1600s or something, and they do actually reference in the series his cousin Connor killing the Kurgan, which is like, okay, so you have to be in a parallel universe because you're still existing.
Yeah, because there could be only one.
Yeah, so whatever.
But there were so many.
Yeah, but there were so many. So other things that aged poorly. Wow. There's not that much that aged well is the problem. Like there are so many things in this movie that you kind of look at and go, ugh,
yeah.
That at the time it was fine because it was it was the mid '80s, whatever. But
it was a more savage age.
It was definitely a more savage age, but
like you said, the noise quality in the film is like it covers a multitude of sins. So like some of these films were so much better back in an analog age.
Yeah. but things that age badly. Candy's hair, actually most of the females' hair.
Hi, I'm Candy. Yeah. Of course you are.
Of course you are.
So yeah, okay. During the interrogation scene, the officer basically saying
the super homophobic line of questioning.
Yeah, the super homophobic line of questioning. I'm like,
he said the F word. Far good.
Yeah. Yeah. Called him a faggot, accused him for being down there for a blowjob.
You cruising for a piece of ass.
I was like, yeah, that definitely didn't age well. The Brenda's earrings during the dinner scene, those things were. You didn't notice the earrings? There was like they were these huge.
Yeah, the big like.
I guess they just like chalk that into the rest of the '80s decor.
Yeah.
Look, that's making a comeback, yo.
But it was so distracting that I literally made.
Want to become famous, Maddie? Are you around?
I got it.
Ah, good man.
Yeah, it was such a. It was so distracting that I literally made a specific note like, oh my god, these fucking earrings.
In fact, let me draw them real quick for you.
Yeah, no. So I mean that.
They were too, man. I've seen worse earrings.
So at a high level, that's mine. What do you guys got?
I had the homophobic line of questioning the detective giving MacLeod. That was definitely in there. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
Geez.
Yelling your own name during battle. MacLeod! 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 I'm gonna do that next time we play Highlander. I'm just gonna yell MacLeod like the whole time.
Reasonable.
Voiceovers.
Reasonable.
80s voiceovers. My goodness. Some of the syncing issues are terrible, and it starts from like right at the start where we're in the garden where it like pans over the crowd, and there's that one like lady. She's like, yeah. That always like stood out to me, even from when like I watched it as a kid. I was like,
yeah, that's an editing issue.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Poorly made Scottish towers. Accents, specifically Christopher Lambert Scottish accent.
Christophe Lambert.
So yeah, there's a whole thing with that in half-assed internet.
We'll get there.
So,
we'll get there.
Sean Connery as a Spanish Egyptian person, and looking through your date's stuff when you go to her house, that's aged pretty poorly, I think. You can't just rummage through
Okay.
someone's shit. Even if, they have a tape recorder and a gun like a weirdo.
I don't know, man. You got to be careful these days. You never know what kind of shenanigans you're going to get into on Tinder.
I'm just going to go to the bathroom. Can I leave my bag here? Yeah. You can
You
leave your
always
bag
check the medicine cabinet.
here. I'll look after your bag, and I definitely won't go through it. You go to the bathroom. That's what I have. What have you got?
I also have very 80s damsel in distress tropes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Brenda
yeah.
actually, I feel like, goes through most of the film as a likable and smart
Strong.
secondary protagonist.
Yeah.
Where she actually has a lot of input on what's going on. She figures out the whole mystery. She knows that there's something weird going on with this Russell Nash guy. But then by the end of the film, she just gets wasted as a stock female love interest and hostage for the big bad.
That's
really disappointing.
McLeod turns up on the roof, and instead of being like, Connor, I'm up here, she just goes, ah! At him.
Yeah.
I'm just like
screaming.
Yeah, I was like, well, you can see him. Just yell out to him. Be like, bro.
So that's disappointing. I mean, likewise for Heather McLeod, but she doesn't really have that many lines, and she sure as shit doesn't pass the Bechdel test. So,
well, and the reason that I don't put the Heather McLeod character into the same category is like because of the time frame in which that was set. It's like I can make a little more allowance for the damsel in distress character with the time period. It's not great, but that bugs me a lot less than the Brenda character turning into the standard stock love interest hostage. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It is a shame. It feels like probably could have treated her with a little more respect, but it was the 80s, so stupid 80s.
I guess she helps a little bit in the Kurgan fight by like blocking one of the sword cuts with the pipe or whatever it was. But yeah, other than that, not really a whole lot for her to do in the last
times
20 minutes of the film.
She like bopped him one time with a pipe, and then I think she blocked as well, just before the Kurgan was likely to do the deed, and then we'll get to the other part.
Mm-hmm.
Any more?
Those are the most egregious ones to me, but yeah, a lot of the stuff is just editing related, and that could also be chalked up a little bit to the budget and limitations of the film at the time.
Sure, and maybe like technology limitations.
Technology, inexperience as to like that kind of film from the director. So it's a whole
panoply of things. There was an amazing amount of pipe lying around in the 80s. real bad crack epidemic.
My man Connor definitely was laying some pipe in that film, though.
And he was also yelling McLeod as he did it.
So something that Shawnee just mentioned about the scene at the zoo, the 80s zoo, see the lion enclosure, and I'm looking at that going, yeah, that's,
sad animals.
Sad animals. It's just concrete, nothing else. It's like that actually gave me a legit moment of,
humans are terrible. We've been terrible for a long time.
I hope the Kurgan wins. It'll teach us right.
Usher humanity in that era of darkness. We deserve it.
I don't think I ever noticed before in that scene how he kind of just pops out from behind the wall and just hangs around in the background and then disappears again. It's so weird. That whole scene is really strange. But yeah, you're right. It's really weird how they're getting busy and then it like all of a sudden cuts to the scene. I gotta say, watching the movie last night in Discord felt a little awkward. It was like when sex scenes come on in films when you're watching a film with your parents. That's how it kind of felt. And I don't know why, because we're all friends, but maybe it was because it's like Al and Traj were both there, and I was like, oh. You guys could be like my dad. Maybe not my dad.
So I guess that's a no on the Wild Things rewatchables then.
Hard pass. I'm gonna watch that one by myself.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Right. Number 5.
All right, number 5, we have the Michael Brandt heat check performance for the actor who wasn't in a lot of scenes but put up big numbers every time.
Honestly, I have to go with Sean Connery on this. Because
Yeah,
he's
that's what
not
I
really-
had.
Actually, he's
That's
not
the
in-
obvious nominee, I
Yeah.
feel
Well,
like.
yeah, but sometimes the obvious nominee is the right fucking nominee. I
Yeah,
mean,
my only question on that is, does he have too many lines for the Spirit of the Heat Check award? It's supposed to be like like a small part.
Well, but technically, when you think about how much of the film that he is actually in,
He's not in that much of it, no.
Well,
yeah,
I,
I mean,
I
he's-
tried to find out the actual screen time, and the figure I found was 18 minutes. But that seemed a little low. So,
no, 18
That seems
minutes
about right if I just think about it.
yeah.
And it's so that's 18 minutes out of, I mean, without credits, a movie that's like an hour and 45.
Yeah.
So I think that time boxes, and I fucking hate that I just use that word in this context. I think that time boxes us okay to him being allowed to be in this.
Well, so it's funny because considering he wasn't in a lot of the film, when I think about this film, he is one of the first. It goes Queen, Sean Connery, Christopher Lambert. That's like what I think of when I think of Highlander, which is really weird because I mean Queen is in all of the movie, but like, yeah, Connery is in like surprisingly a small amount of the film when you actually think about it, but he dominates every scene that he's in because he's so good.
And that
Well,
was like
because
kind of a big deal for the film too, because he was far and away the most famous name attached to the film, and he's not in much of it. It's like Janet Leigh with Psycho, basically.
Right. He's in the second film that never happened. Wouldn't know. Never saw it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because he does have, I mean, yeah, he's very clearly the best, best / biggest name in that film, and I mean, the man has had gravitas. I mean, yeah, he's going to, just fucking own the scenes that he's in because he's Sean fucking Connery. That's what he does.
Ducky made a good point. He said he said plus the voiceover stuff sticks. So you're basically like coming into the film hearing his voice immediately. And then it's one of the last voices you hear as the film goes to credits.
Yeah, because he still does the voiceover. Yeah, that's explaining like Connor's new role as the sole remaining immortal.
Yeah. Which is, that's always what you want, somebody explaining the exposition. If it's him, though, I'll take it. Him and Morgan Freeman. You could talk to me about anything. You give me, like, terrible cancer results, as long as it's you guys giving them to me. Yeah, well, so if he's the obvious choice, I couldn't really think of, Jade, welcome to the show. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
All right.
Who would you have as the less obvious choice? Because I couldn't think of anyone.
That's
I have another nominee. I have another nominee.
Okay, then you definitely give that other nominee because I'm with Steve-O. Like rewatching through this movie, I'm like,
Can I guess?
I couldn't.
No, Sean Connery is clearly the winner. I won't disagree on that, but we need an honorable mention just for Ducky.
Okay.
Go ahead, guess, Steve.
Well, if it's just for Ducky. No, I see. Honorable mention.
Yeah.
Yeah, savage. You're a savage. Is it
You're a quick one.
Is it Garfield?
Garfield.
Yeah, okay, if it's not Garfield.
So my nominee is like the Vietnam vet, the guy with PTSD who rides around town with that fucking Uzi who's looking for commies to shoot. Like, I just love, like, his shirt says, "Hey, Moscow," and it has, like, that giant fucking, like, bullseye on it.
Oh, yes.
So I had to go back and check for this. So the guy's name in the film is supposed to be Kirk Matunis. He's played by Christopher Malcolm. Had to look this up. Don't remember this or anything else. But I find, like this whole setup is just hilarious right through the part where Kurgan just impales him and then like up and throws him off of his fucking sword.
So that was like the one
Just
time where you could see the reason for having the two other little spiky things on his sword, but those little bits don't even go into him.
Nope.
I'm like, oh, that's disappointing.
So yeah, that guy was definitely coming in hot with a heat check award, driving around town just looking for stuff. I probably shouldn't find that funny since America has a bunch of like psychotic right wing vigilantes now, but I don't know, just
now.
That was,
yeah. I think that's a pretty good pull. That's a good honorable mention. Better than an honorable mention, Ducky says.
That's my honorable mention.
He'd be our seventh man choice.
So that kind of, I feel like, bleeds in a little bit to category 6, the Matthew Hogan overacting award.
Garfield is my choice for that.
So what's going on with Garfield? I'm not catching the reference.
He's the arresting officer. Don't move, pal. Don't even breathe.
Oh yeah, with his fucking terrible trigger discipline and actually cocking the fucking revolver and having his finger on the fucking trigger.
Yeah,
that was actually that was actually in my age badly, and I just forgot to.
That's very American. What age badly? Police brutality.
That is still aging very poorly.
Yeah, very poorly. Very poorly. Wrong. I had that guy as my overacting award. I thought he was chewing the scenes whenever he was, and it's such stark contrast to the older police guy who was just like the most like casual, grumpy.
It's good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, it's overacting cop and then old grouchy cop is their dynamic. I like it. That's who I had. Who do you guys have?
So I actually went with Clancy Brown as Kurgan.
Yeah, Clancy Brown has some pretty ham moments in here.
Yeah,
but it was so good though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can tell that he is really enjoying playing this role. You can tell that he was. It seems like he was just given carte blanche, just fucking do it. Just do the fucking thing. And as Ducky just put in the chat, it was totally in character. Yes, it was. It was fucking amazing. But yeah, I mean, come on. He's hamming it up. He's chewing scenery. Yeah,
the church scene specifically is where I have.
I love it. It's so good.
So yeah, that's where I landed on that. I mean, Garfield as a police officer, yeah. I mean, you can definitely make an argument there.
I think that was his name, Garfield or Carfield, one of the two.
Yeah, I didn't really catch his name, so that's why I didn't get your reference on that one. But yeah, okay, that's a good pull though. That's a good pull.
Yeah.
I also have Clancy Brown there. Yeah, the sexually harassing the nuns and then it's better to burn out than fade away is just like epic camp for the 1980s.
I love it.
And also the as he's walking out of the hotel and the sketchy front desk guy says something about, hey, Candy said that you were kinky, and he stops.
Don't talk to me.
Don't ever speak to me.
and yeah, just that whole overacting menace of I'm this several thousand year old warrior, and yeah, you are so far beneath me as to be a bug. Just shut the fuck up and do not ever
But he flip-flops, so he goes from being that guy to being this like crazy punky teenager guy in the church, and he flip-flops between the two, which is kind of cool because it makes him like,
I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug. I don't know what to tell you.
You don't want to do cocaine from that herpes guy, the bellhop guy who keeps yelling at the sweet old black gentleman that hangs out with him, keeps him company. So he's just giving him shit. I told you to shut up. Can
I change my answer? Can that guy be the heat check award winner now?
The herpes guy or sweet gentle black man?
No, just the old black guy who just hangs out at the hotel.
He's just like, yeah, man, tell us to go. Like, what?
I changed my mind. He's above Sean Connery now. So yeah, I mean, I say this as somebody, I love Clancy Brown. I really enjoy his career, but yeah, he definitely likes chewing on some of the scenery in this role.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
keen.
for go.
I was gonna say I'm keen to get into the next one, but if you got some last points to go with.
This is my question to you. Is Christopher Lambert overacting or underacting for this? Because like sometimes he's really flat, but I will say, like after he went like in the prize scene, the last bit of the quickening, he's full on fucking psycho in that scene. He's just like screaming as he's up in the air. I'm just like,
Wires.
it's very weird.
It's abrasive is what it is. It's the same thing when he flips between like serious to creepy to like jokey. It's real. It's it's really abrasive how quickly he cuts between
Give a
them.
pass. It's the first film in English he'd ever made. He actually is like a really well-known actor who's actually won like acting awards in France. So I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but it's it's just there's some weird moments.
Well, and that was, you know, we'll touch on this now instead of in half-assed internet research. Like he didn't speak English when he took this role.
Yeah.
Like straight up, he did not speak English in any way, shape, or form. Like this, he basically did some like intensive 6-week lesson stuff to speak properly.
They're like, we're gonna make you do an accent.
Which is part of the reason why like his accent never really settles, is because he's literally learning English as he's doing this. I mean, I think it works for him, the character,
definitely,
because you know that his line about he's lived many places. Okay, well that in character explains the accent slipping all over the place. But like that's literally the reason the man did not speak English when he took the role.
It's pretty funny.
Which you think about it, super fucking ballsy power move there. I don't speak the language this film is in. I'm gonna take the role anyway. That's kind of cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'll get more into that in half-assed on research, I think.
He I think it's amusing that they made him do one of the hardest accents to do for English-speaking countries, I think, is the Scottish accent. That accent is very difficult to pull off, and he does not do it. Right. Recasting couch. So I approach this a little differently. I don't know if you guys did it in the same vein as we did last time, but I certainly did. Because I wasn't that super familiar with a lot of like mid 80s actors, so I did mine as if you were to cast the roles today. But do you guys want to do your half-assed, not half-assed, your recasting couch?
Oh, it is definitely half-assed. Because I mean, like, if we look at the three primary actors, so Christopher Lambert, Clancy Brown, Sean Connery, they're pretty iconic. It's pretty hard to imagine replacing them. So my only thing was, I'm like, okay, if for some reason we decided, you know what, Christopher Lambert doesn't even speak English, why are we casting him? Type thing. If we were going to cast an actor who is either A, better known to American audiences, or B, someone who could credibly pull off a Scottish accent in 1985, 1986, I started kicking around names, and I came up with people who were a little bit younger than Christopher Lambert, but not like absurdly younger. Christopher Lambert was born in 1957. I found two actors who were both born in 1961. So if we're going with somebody that an American audience would know, who are options? I feel like somebody who was sort of getting fast-tracked in the mid-'80s, but never really like got to the star threshold. Name I came up with was Eric Stoltz. So
The Mask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, he'd actually shot scenes for Back to the Future. Most people know that, but he was eventually cut in favor of Michael J. Fox. So big miss there on that one. He's a little maybe young for the role, maybe a little baby-faced, but again, he's not that much younger than Christopher Lambert. He does play another sword-wielding hero in the truly awful film Lionheart that's like made 2 years later. So I'm like, he has credibly the ability to play that kind of role.
Ish.
That was about the only thing I could think of for somebody in that age bracket, because you don't need somebody who's like a full-on action star. Like you wouldn't get like Sylvester Stallone to play Connor McLeod. Right? I mean, his accent would be about the same, but
Kevin Sorbo. Let's throw that name out there.
I don't want to hear that man's name anytime, anywhere.
Why not? Is there something bad? Did he do something bad?
Kind of.
Or
Yeah.
did he? Oh, my bad. Maybe.
Well, not like criminally bad, but
Oh, okay. Disappointed.
yeah, he'll always be okay for that gift. But.
So the one name that kind of popped into my head while doing this, considering time frame, Dolph Lundgren as the Kurgan.
Yeah, that'd be kind
Yeah.
of
Like
Good alternative.
Like that's something that
Hercules.
I could have seen as reasonable based on the history of the Kurgan, that his origin is it was a Russian tribe or a tribe.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah. And at the time, I mean that's what Dolph Lundgren was. He was famous for famous-ish for doing the thing of just being this imposing presence
Was he?
on screen.
Was he? In Rocky, was he the
Yeah, he's Ivan
Drago?
Drago.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what.
Yep.
So
Also plays He-Man in the 1980s Masters of the Universe.
I never saw it, but I've heard
Oh.
amazing things.
Stop this podcast. You got to go watch it right now.
We're gonna be right
Speaking
back.
of absurdly campy things of the 1980s, oh man, the names that we could throw around for that.
I actually saw that in the theater with like a couple friends because it was like somebody's birthday or something.
Was it?
And-
Yours?
Yeah, you'd be a bit about the right age to that be
Yeah.
a
Was
film
it
you would
your
go see on
30th?
somebody's birthday.
Did you go for your 30th birthday?
No.
I like how tickled you were with that, DK.
Set it up and you knocked it down. Good job. Team effort.
I hate both of you so much. Anyway,
Comedic
but
geniuses.
comedic something.
Yeah.
But that's that was really the only thing that I could really think of like as an in-kind swap, as it were, with thinking about who would have been available in that sort of time. So
Fair, but I'm not taking
Yeah.
it away from Clancy Brown.
no.
The
Not
other
really.
actor who I was thinking of, like somebody who could pull off an actual Scottish accent in 1985, the name that came to mind for me, my like way out of left field choice for Connor McLeod is Jared Harris.
Who was that?
So also born.
Who is that?
Let's see.
The name
I don't
is
know,
not
Jared
ringing
Harris?
any type of bells.
So in the recent Chernobyl series, you've seen that.
No. Jared
it
Harris.
is
Richard
it
Harris's son. He played Moriarty in the
Oh,
second Sherlock
yeah.
film. He played Ulysses S.
Okay.
Grant in the Lincoln film.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that guy.
He was Lane Price in Mad Men.
So you would have him as what? The Kurgan.
As Connor? No, as Connor McLeod. If we were going with somebody who could like be recast, who either can do a Scottish accent, which I know Jared Harris could, or
Yeah.
who's more well known to American audiences, which
Right.
is where I go with Eric Stoltz. But again, I don't have a whole lot for this category. Those are just my only pulls.
Yeah. Well, so as per last time, I looked at it a little differently and I recast it. If this movie was to get made today,
Yeah.
who would I cast in those roles? So as Connor McLeod, I put Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man.
interesting.
He
Okay.
might be a little baby faced, like he might be a little young, but he was in a film that just came out on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but he plays this like southern boy that's grown up around like hard out religion and stuff. And he was awesome in that role. It was cool to see him in like a solid dramatic role. So like I would like to see I'd like to see him in this role, because it'd be more of a serious kind of role, but he can also be kind of cheeky, like Lambert was in some of those scenes.
Yeah, and he's definitely an actor that can ride that balance of being being cheeky, as you say, but also convey a lot of emotional depth.
Yeah.
So
he's a good actor. He's a good actor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can roll with that as if you were rebooting the franchise, please fucking God, do not fucking reboot the franchise, Hollywood. This is not an act for that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
We do not encourage this behavior
at all. But if that was to happen, I wouldn't hate seeing him as.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. So as who did I have? Hang on, where's my list?
Well, if we have to go back in for Ramirez, I'm going to throw Jared Harris back in there because I think now he can play the Ramirez part.
So I had Antonio Banderas as him because
he would at least be more credibly Spanish. I'll say that.
Yeah, but like seeing him in some watching him in whatever Expendables he was in the first time, might have been 2 or 3. He is funny as shit. He's like great. Zorro Reborn. Yeah. Zorro Reborn, exactly right, Ducky. But I would like to see him as like a mentor figure for Tom Holland, but it might, I don't know, he might kind of I don't know what their chemistry would be like. He might be more liable to kill Tom Holland rather than train him, but who knows? So as Brenda, I would cast Amy Adams because she kind of looks like the actress that played her.
I can see that,
and I think she's a good actress. She's had some like good. I thought she was really good as Lois Lane, which is kind of that role, that like investigative
journalist. Yeah.
So I thought like putting her in that role. We kind of already seen it though, so I mean I think she'd do a good job. And then finally is the Kurgan. I had 2 choices. So for me, the obvious choice would be Vin Diesel. Putting him in that role because he kind of looks like the Kurgan did towards the end with the bald. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you could go a different way and put The Rock. I would love to see The Rock, but like this crazed psycho. Because you only ever see his, like, he's built himself up as the good guy. But I would love to see him play a crazy...
that bit insane psycho.
It'd be awesome. Like, I don't know if you guys saw him in Hercules. Did you guys see the remake of Hercules? Hercules Legends or something? It was kind of cool. Like, he was cool in that role. Like, he would... obviously he was, like, a good guy in that role. But watching that guy... as a crazy bad guy would be awesome.
Well, and plus, like with how fucking jacked he is right now, like that could be genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, he would be physically imposing,
especially if you put Tom Holland next to him. It'd be pretty funny. So if you were gonna do that, maybe you would cast McLeod as like Jason Statham.
We've already done that pairing.
We saw that film.
So what is it? It's just like the Fast and Furious Swords edition?
Yeah. I'm gonna fucking knife you, mate.
Whatever, it's the same universe.
We're good.
But yeah, so those would be my casting. I'd love to see like any of those people play those roles in a remake. If you're gonna recast the film, do it and get Brian May to redo the music. Yeah.
I'm just more excited now for a crossover Fast and Furious Highlander franchise. So make it happen.
Yeah, what they do is they joust, but they do it in like supercars.
2 swords, too sharp.
You keep the same soundtrack. You keep the original Queen soundtrack, and just roll that into whatever you do.
There could be only nos. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, jeez.
Love it.
Jesus fuck.
He did a bad guy role seeking vengeance in Faster. I didn't see Faster. I do try and see anything The Rock's in because I am a massive Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. I would see him in any movie, play any role. I'd love to see him as Ant-Man. That's what I would love to see him as. He can play anything. As the wise Kevin Smith once said, I'd love to see him in anything, even as Jaws the shark. I would watch him play Jaws the shark.
I feel like they would still manage to make the CG better than they did in the first
The
Mummy
Scorpion King?
sequel, where he was the Scorpion
Oh,
King, and they did that
goodness me.
awful CG overlay.
I
I would rather see
oh.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson as a shark than see that awful CG overlay again.
Oh, that was so terrible. That is up there as some of the worst CGI
It's horrendous.
ever.
I love it.
Anyway.
Right, moving on.
On track.
This is the, I guess, the
Money shot.
yeah, although it's also the part where I bow out of most of the talking because I didn't do any half-assed internet research, or the only the only half-assed research I did was when Al told me things last night when we were watching the films. And he told
We'll count it.
Yeah, he told me. Oh, and also obviously Christopher Lambert didn't speak English, but the one thing that Al said last night was apparently Connery was drunk most of his scenes, according to Night Owl. So
I think this is probably not the only film that applies to. The man enjoyed some whiskeys.
I think it might have a problem.
It wasn't a problem.
Yeah, true. It's
It
not
was
a
a
problem if you're
solution.
functioning. That's the only thing I have. What do you guys have?
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so starting with the intro, there's actually two things here. So the intro voiceover that Connery does, and it's got kind of that cool little echoey quality to it, and it sounds like, yeah, this is all very cool and mysterious and all that bullshit. It's fucking echoey because he's recording it in his fucking bathroom in his Spanish villa or something, like, and yeah, just knowing that's like, oh great, that's fucking awesome. And the reason that it passed muster was that they played it for the production team, like, over the phone. Well, over the phone, you couldn't tell really that the quality was actually not that good. So they accepted it based on that, and then when they got it, it's like, oh well, fuck, here it is. This is what we have.
Can we have another
I
take
think
it?
it sounds
Moving on.
awesome, and from now on, I'm only going to be recording episodes of The Resupply in my bathroom.
Dan-
My newly remodeled bathroom. now
Dan
that
did
it's
ask
almost
me
done.
this morning if I was going to do a show from the shower, and I was like, I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Maybe we'll go audio only on that one.
Yeah.
But in combination with that, the intro credits all being the red text, which again is one of those works in context for the movie and sets the right vibe and everything. It was a fucking placeholder. It was never intended. They were intending to do something else with the credits. They just put this like, well, we need something just for editing purposes so we know where the fuck this shit is and the timing and everything. So they just quickly threw up these, this red text stuff. And then
Moving on, people.
As they were,
Okay,
and then
that's good enough.
as they were cutting everything, it was like, no, actually, this all makes a lot of sense in context and sets the vibe. So we'll just leave it. So yeah, temporary credits and voiceovers recorded in bathrooms. I mean, now if that just doesn't fucking tell you, the whole fucking vibe of this production, I don't know what does.
I love that so much, man. So
I just
cool.
don't. So, and also with continuing chronologically with this, the intro scene at the Ducky saying 80s ingenuity.
That's a word for it.
Sure. That is definitely a word for it.
MacGyver solutions.
Yeah.
Definitely MacGyver solutions. The scene at Madison Square Garden wasn't supposed to be wrestling. It was supposed to be hockey. That was the
Oh, really?
That was the original plan was to film hockey.
Did they say
And
why they couldn't?
the NHL basically said no because they
They don't want to be associated with violence.
well, basically it was because they actually they probably fucked us up a little bit. They basically said that, oh yeah, we're that's what we're looking for, is we're looking for the violence of the sport, so we can make that the focus of this. And the NHL kind of went, no, we're not doing that, even though mid 80s hockey, I mean, that's what mid 80s hockey fucking was.
Yeah.
I mean,
You went to a
still
fight and
is.
a hockey game broke out.
Exactly. So that being the reason why they didn't do it is like, are you fucking
That's
kidding
awesome.
me? Oh, which ties into something else that didn't age well: the fucking Confederate flag on the wrestler.
Yeah, on his
Oh
uniform.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had forgotten about it until you just mentioned it. Oh
Yeah.
Well, clearly they were the heels. Like, they
They
were
were-
the, they're the bad guys in the ring.
Yeah, but-
which is funny
yeah.
because like they were all like
Yeah.
sexy Confederates. He's doing the sexy
Freebirds.
under in there.
They were called the Freebirds.
The Freebirds. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah. So
Right.
that, I mean, we've already covered that Christopher Lambert didn't speak any fucking English when he took the role, so
Nope.
good for him.
He was noticed in a catalog that Russell McKay, the director, was flipping through after he had just completed a Tarzan film that he'd made in Europe at the time, and the director was like, "Ooh, yeah, I like the look of that guy. We should get him." And they're like, "But Russell, he doesn't speak English." He's like, "Fuck it, get me Christopher Lambert."
Teach him. That's awesome.
So that's my or that's at least a decent chunk of my half-ass internet research. DK, you have I assume you have ones that I didn't cover, but I might.
So
have,
I'm going to add some historian perspective here. I'm going to spit some history
Oh,
knowledge here.
Here we
at you
go.
here.
Here we go
So-
with the professor.
So, as with so many movies about Scotland in the past, the film very anachronistically shows all the Scotsmen wearing kilts.
Mhm.
The great kilt, so the one that's like the full body wrap, not just like the little kilt that you wear as a pants alternative,
Yeah.
essentially, right? But the
Baby
full on
suit
like
kilt.
wrap, even that only dates to like the late 16th century. So 1536, when when that battle's supposed to take place, that's still too early for that kind of garment to be standard.
But what were they wearing? Pants.
They were wearing great kilts. They were all wearing kilts.
Yeah. No. I mean in real life.
Yeah, they would have been wearing trousers of some kind.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, especially if you're riding a lot of places on horseback, a kilt is not a great garment to wear.
I don't know. It's the sort of freedom you don't get from other holidays.
That is definitely true. But yeah, the kilt only got phased in a little bit later. 1300s is way, way, way too early. Looking at you, Mel Gibson. Get out of here with your anachronistic fucking Braveheart kilts.
That's Heathen's version of Highlander.
Yeah. So yeah, the modern kilt that's like the pants alternative. So your modern utility kilts and stuff like that garment that wasn't popularized until like the 18th century, so like 1700s. So
Right.
yeah, I know everybody associates Scotland with kilts, but for most of history, that's not accurate.
That's
So I just had to throw that in.
so. Were they wearing pants before that?
Yeah, most people would have worn trousers, especially if you were anybody who was involved with horse riding for most of history. Yeah, you would have worn pants because that's the most practical garment to wear when you have to have your legs straddled around a large animal.
I wonder who made that decision then to be like, you know what, we're going pantsless, no pants for us.
I don't know, but they
in the
were a
Scottish
brave
Highlands.
individual, and I salute them.
Yeah, the Scottish Highlands were not a tropical climate. Where a woolen skirt might be more appropriate in the winter. That's a good way to get them blue balls.
Yeah, I prefer Willie's explanation from The Simpsons that it was only for everyday occasions, and then for battle they would wear a full sequin ball gown because the point was to blind your enemy with luxury.
What else you got?
The other historical stuff. So the villain, the Kurgan. So the Kurgan is a reference to an early kind of proto-Slavic, proto-Russian people, like Than mentioned. The so-called Kurgan hypothesis was postulated by a number of linguists and anthropologists looking for a kind of theoretical origin point for Indo-European languages, of which English, Latin, German, all in the Indo-European language family. So somewhere in like southern Russia, Central Asia, a group of different cultures had these burial mounds, just became known as kurgans. So when people are talking about the kurgans, actually referring to these specific kind of like burial mounds they're made in the area. But that was like one hypothesis for like the sort of ancestral homeland of where all these different languages came from, as sort of the wellspring of all these different cultures and linguistic innovations and things.
They used to also, throw children into dog pits for fun.
Apparently.
Heavy. That's a heavy Saturday night.
Heavy Saturday night.
Yeah. Anything else?
So others, not really much else on the history side, but the screenwriter Gregory Wyden apparently had much more elaborate like backstories and psychologies, both for Connor and for the Kurgan, but they were both really simplified, mostly because of concern about runtime on the film. Kurgan sort of just reduced to a stereotypical baddie, obviously first as a literal Black Knight, and then later on as a psycho biker from the 80s.
Yeah, you get the weird biker / punk vibe cranking.
Yeah, the 80s weren't exactly subtle in their imagination of the moral universe, shall we say.
You wear leather. You're a baddie.
Yeah, and as much as Clancy Brown obviously enjoyed dialing it up to 100 for that role, in some interviews, I guess he said he was like kind of disappointed in having to play such a one-dimensional villain. He wanted somebody that had a little bit more depth to him, I guess.
And that's fair. I mean, that's you don't always just want to be, known. It's like, oh yeah, we're going 100 miles an hour this way and that's it. You do want to have a little bit of variety to what you're doing. That makes sense.
Just as a quick side note, when you guys watched it back, did you see the harness that Brenda was like strapped into when she's up on the sign?
I can't say I really noticed.
So we were watching it last night and we were like, goodness me, there's like 3 or 4 cuts where she is clearly attached to the thing with a harness that's bound around like in a carabiner, and she's holding on. She's like, not strapped to anything except for this like this harness. It's really quite amusing. It's kind of shit that should not be, if you will. Al.
Yeah,
and it's also the things that you wouldn't necessarily have noticed
with the noise.
In the original, SD,
the good old days.
Release. The good old days.
Yeah, when your VHS tracking is off, you wouldn't have definitely not noticed the harness.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
So only last one I have. This one's like more of a deep cut. Doesn't actually really have a whole lot to do with Highlander itself, but another potential Laser Force connection for you here from a later Christopher Lambert film, Fortress, from the early 1990s, was shot at Warner Brothers Movie World in Queensland, just down the road from good old Laser Force Brisbane. We know that we love some Movie World here on the Resupply. So I just thought I would mention that. I came across in my half-assed internet research.
Hashtag outside left. Ooh. Yeah, no, yeah. As opposed to, hashtag alt right. So
Blimey.
Yeah.
Spicy in here.
Yeah. Right. Dan, did you want to add anything else to half-assed internet research?
No, I think I feel like we've hit a lot of really good high points with that, and we've already covered a decent amount of half-assed internet research with previous stuff. So
yeah,
I think we can move on to number 9, which is probably unanswerable questions. And I know I mentioned this one already. Why the fuck did they make sequels to this movie? That is my unanswerable question.
Oh, I have an easy answer for that question. Yeah.
Ching!
Okay.
Now,
Aside
the answer. It didn't work, but
yeah, aside from the okay, yes, money is always the answer. I get that. But aside from the money answer, I mean, this if there are films that end and you can look at them and go, yeah, I can see a path for a sequel here. This film ends. It ends in a pretty nicely wrapped up little bow that doesn't really need any further expansion.
Yeah.
Like
there can be only one. How
Yeah,
many
there
are
can be
left at
one.
the end of the film? One.
Yeah.
That's it.
One.
You're done.
yeah, there is no fucking reason to continue aside from let's figure out how we can fuck this up and
They're
make
like,
money.
why don't we
And-
say there can
and-
only be some?
Yeah, so
That's what they should have said.
that is my initial unanswerable question, which I know the answer is money, but it's still an unanswerable question.
Why is it that some Highlanders look like they're in their 70s, whilst others look like they're in their 20s to 30s? Is what I
Okay. You're getting to a good point, which is something also a pet peeve of mine about the film. People you're referring to as Highlanders, I believe you mean Immortals.
Immortals.
There's
sorry.
only one Highlander. Connor's a Highlander. He's literally from the Scottish Highlands. Immortals are not called Highlanders.
True.
Highlanders is just referring to him,
True.
not to the race of Immortals.
Well, now I know that it's a pet peeve. I'm absolutely going to keep doing it. But yeah, so why is it that the Highlanders, some of them look old as shit and some of them don't? Well, is it just poor genetics? Because, like, Sean Connery has looked 70 my entire life. And
Fair.
Who else was it? The guy at the start. Who was the guy
Seal?
that... Huh? Vasile.
Seal?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Dude,
first
it
guy
was
that he
like
fights.
80s.
So
Doing backflips.
there is actually an in-universe answer. For
Acid.
that.
Is it acid? They got acid
No.
drawn on their face. Okay.
No, the in-universe answer is that the age is frozen at the time that they first die.
Their first
Okay.
death, yeah. That's what I thought I remember them saying in the
Oh.
TV show, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
kind of
so
cool.
there-
All right, that's answerable
Yeah.
question then.
Yeah, that is it's obviously not explained in the movie at all. Hence you going, what the fuck, man? This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But the literal answer to that question is
Yeah.
their age is frozen.
Well, that's
at
really
the
cool,
first
actually.
time.
Yeah, obviously, the ideal move is to be like Christopher Lambert and get killed when you're 28, so you can be 28 your entire life. I mean, I would fucking kill for that right
yeah,
now.
Vasile was just like, please, somebody chop my head off. I can't get no action with a face like this guy. Can you behead a Highlander, whilst they are absorbing another Highlander's power or essence? Because they go into like full orgasm mode where they have no control of their bodies, and like I just assumed that there must have been an instance where someone's like, oh, and like someone come up behind them and is just like whack.
Ha!
I thought we were gonna
Seems
say
like
something
perfect
else
timing.
and you said come up behind, but you know.
But yeah, I would like to know if that is doable. I assume that it would be, but I don't know.
Maybe it makes like a force field around you. See, that's why in Highlander the game, if you hold down your button and you cast shield, you can't be killed for like 5 seconds. So maybe that's what they have when they get the quickening. Maybe we reversed it.
They're like, hang on, I'm just gonna push my special button.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, good.
It was so special. It was so good.
I have a few, but do you guys want to go?
Yeah. So another unanswerable question I have is, what is Ramirez's real name? Because obviously
Wasn't it
Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez is not his real name. If he was born in like
Egypt.
4000 BC Egypt, so
Yeah.
why does he have a Spanish name and speak with a Scottish accent if he was born as an Egyptian and he spent most of his time in Japan, where he had apparently his most meaningful relationship?
One of three.
I guess he changed his name a bunch of times, but I'm like, what was Ramirez's real name? I want to know.
He settled. Yeah, Russell
Maybe his
Nash,
name was
exactly
like
right.
Amenthotap or something.
Imhotep. He was in a movie with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
That's a good question. What else you got?
I had to watch this again in the film because I still feel like I missed this or it's just not explained. Where the hell is Connor when the Kurgan shows up and kills Ramirez and rapes Heather?
I had
Like,
that too.
like, my dude, Ramirez like already established that hey, you don't want to fuck with the Kurgan. The Kurgan like knows you're in Scotland and he was looking specifically for you. And like the two of you together probably could have taken him easy. So like, where were you, bro? Were you just in the shitter when the Kurgan shows up? I was like, oh, hey, it's Ramirez. Let me kill this dude.
And further to that, because he falls down and then obviously he does the dirty on with his missus. But where did like McLeod must have been gone for like overnight. In which
while.
in which case he left her alone with his teacher, which he seemed like an alright dude, I suppose. But yeah. Where were you, bruh? Up to?
I feel like this is
because I kept trying to look for it in like deleted scenes or anything. I'm like, was he out hunting? Did he say he had to go meet with somebody? I'm like, where was he? What are you doing?
I feel like this is something that in a novelization was probably explained, but
Maybe.
I didn't.
Was this a book?
Yeah. They do tend to novelize things.
You can novelize it, but yeah, it's not like it was a book first and then adapted as a screenplay.
Right, okay.
But yeah, that is a really fucking good question. I mean, I think we can make an assumption given that he was remote. Maybe he had left to get supplies.
Went for cigarettes.
Came back.
Exactly. So maybe, but yeah, I mean, there's no real explanation on that.
Look at this collection of old men.
A whole wonderful 18-minute story of McLeod and Ramirez, bros for life, and then just kidding. I'm gonna fuck off and go do something else now.
So just quickly in the chat, Tucker said two things that amused me. The first was, "Look at this collection of old men," to which I say, "Fuck you, tiny man."
Are you familiar with the show?
and secondly, he said, "What are we discussing, bruh? It's in the title." We're doing a rewatchables of Highlander. Do you not pay attention to anything? Gosh, join the Discord.
No, he really
join the Discord.
Doesn't.
Right, what else you got?
Those are my main unanswerable questions.
I have a few. So Than, if you've got a few more, you can ask
No,
yours.
like the only the only real other thing I have is like so Ramirez is giving McLeod like all the here is the lowdown for all this shit. I mean, one, how did he know all this shit? I mean, is it just because he's been around for a minute and he's picked everything up? And two, why did he care to let McLeod know? I mean, yeah, okay, Kurgan bad, I get it, fine, whatever. But here's this Highlander that is green, raw around the edges, has really no fighting experience whatsoever. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. Why are you training him as opposed to just taking his head, taking the quickening, going and killing more shit, and then killing the Kurgan yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one of those like. But why though? Why? I mean, I realize it's plot armor, and if that doesn't happen, we don't have a fucking movie. I get it, but why?
Because teaming up in the maze is shit, bro.
Yeah, that's not cool. You can't do that kind of stuff, Ramirez.
That'd be.
You can't take out your more dangerous opponent just being like, oh yeah, let's just team up till we get rid of that guy.
Bro, teamsies? You want to go teamsies? Yeah, with teams.
Like maybe we need to know more about what you can actually do with the prize, because like Connor says that he can like use it to influence people and stuff like this. So it's like, if it really does make you like the prince of the universe, to quote the Queen lyric here, like I guess if the stakes are really that high, like Kurgan will literally rule the world if he wins the prize. Like, okay, I could see you maybe being a little bit altruistic and being like, look, I have to train other immortals because even if I don't win, we definitely can't let this fucker win.
It seems also like a waste of the prize if you win the prize and then just go live a normal dude life. Like,
yeah, what are you gonna do? Oh,
we're gonna sit on this
I'm
hill.
finally gonna have a kid.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit on this hill with my missus for a little bit, and then I'm gonna make a baby. Right. A couple of quick questions that I had. Why did the cops let a man go who was fleeing the scene of a gruesome murder? Clearly he was fleeing the scene. He was driving pretty quick out of that garage. And he's like, am I under arrest? They're like, no. Even though you're the only person that was fleeing the scene where there was a gruesome death just happened. The dude got his head chopped off. But no,
well, what's their evidence?
He was fleeing the scene.
That's not enough for a conviction.
No, but that's enough to detain a dude.
You can detain him, but it's still, you don't get enough to charge him.
No,
Listen to this fucking apologist for the pigs up in here.
You can. I would imagine that in the States, especially 80s cops, would have put his ass in prison.
I mean, maybe if he was black.
That is true. He was white. He was French even. Yeah. That's super white. That's almost the whitest you can get. You're almost see-through at that point.
Yeah. So Shawnee in chat is like, so the quickening, do they like absorb their enemy's power or something? Literally, what is the point of it? Yes, Shawnee. You
get all their special points. Haven't you played the game?
or maybe she's just never actually missiled anybody, so she doesn't know that's a thing.
Oh, burn.
Oh. So moving on. Why is it that they can feel the heartbeat of the deer? Is it because they are at one with everything? Because I know they can feel each other, but what has everything else got to do? And does that mean that they can feel the heartbeats of like everything?
Probably.
I mean,
if they like really focus in on it.
Yeah, they're like,
because I think that's supposed to be the thing that it's like once you've won the prize and you've like taken all the other immortals' power, like you can literally like do it at will. Like you can sense other people's thoughts and emotions and all that kind of stuff, but like without having to super deep concentrate and go chase a deer around in the woods, I guess.
Yeah. The probably the most important question that I had to ask was, so when McLeod de-swords Ramirez when they're training on top of the cliff, who had to go get the sword? And how did he do it? Did he just like one of them was just like, oh, I'll go get it, and then like roll off the edge and like,
Heather, go get my sword.
That's what I want to know. I want to know who got the sword and how long did it take them to find it. Right. Number 10.
Yeah. The Sven-Ole Thorsen That Guy Award for the actor who appears in a ton of TV and film, but most people don't know their name. It's just, hey, it's that guy from insert film here.
So for me...
Yep, go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, for me, because I had this person when we watched the Aliens Rewatchables. And that is who I now know the name of, but never knew his name growing up, was Clancy Brown. I was like, oh, it's that guy from all those things. Okay. Like specifically from Shawshank. Like, because that was the first thing I remember seeing him in.
It's probably his most... We'll get into this on Apex Mountain, but that's probably his most famous role, I would think. Most people would know Clancy Brown from.
Yeah.
That's honestly who I had also. Is like, it's like, oh yeah, because you look at his IMDb and you start kind of scrolling through the things that he's been in. And it's like,
I love Clancy Brown.
Oh yeah. So and as Ducky just put in the chat, Starship Troopers is another one that's like
Sergeant Zim.
Yeah, so I only remembered what his name was because you said it before and somebody said it last night, and I was like, fuck, that's what his name is. But I will probably forget it. And be like, that guy, the guy from Shawshank and all those other movies. Yeah, that's it for me.
And like many other great actors of the 80s and 90s, he had a regularly recurring voiceover role on Gargoyles, one of the great cartoons of the 90s. Couple different roles on that show, actually.
I thought that I had heard somebody. I watched a trailer for a game today, a game on Switch, and there was a voiceover, and it sounded just like him. I was like,
He's done a lot of voice work.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that good like baritone voice. He's done a lot of voice work for I think some other films and video games also.
Right. Don't talk to me.
Don't speak to me.
So good. Did you have anyone else, DK?
Oh, for sure. We definitely got to get in James Cosmo. Is James Cosmo that guy?
Who is that?
Connor's cousin, Angus McLeod, the guy who saves him from being burned. Yeah, so that's James Cosmo, probably best known now for playing Dior Mormont on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right.
Also plays another anachronistically kilt-wearing Scottish warrior in Braveheart. He plays Brendan Gleeson's dad in Braveheart. Even though the actors, I had to look this up, are only 7 years apart in age.
They're like, just old him up a little bit. All right, we got it.
Yeah, they did definitely age him up because he looks better now than he did when he's like old age makeup in Braveheart. So I assumed that dude was like 70 in real life, but yet I've seen him in everything for the last 30 years.
Who's aged the best? That guy.
Yeah, James Cosmo definitely has aged the
James
best.
Cosmos. That's a good call, actually.
Yeah, so I feel like he was definitely the that guy in there because I had known it going into the film, but then I saw it again. I was like, oh yeah, there's James Cosmo right there.
Right.
Only in a very small bit of the film, but I feel like he could definitely be a that guy. I don't know if James Cosmo is a that guy or if he's just James Cosmo now, but I feel like he's more of a that guy.
Yeah,
he's probably a that guy.
Because he always looks familiar, but I could never place what else he was in. So he's like just barely a that guy. Yeah, but Clancy Brown's certainly a that guy for me. Anyone else?
That's my main nominee from this film, I would say, is probably James Cosmo. Yeah, Clancy Brown to other people, I could see definitely being a that guy. To me, he's Clancy Brown. I feel like he's well known enough, but I'm a big Clancy Brown fan, so I'm willing to accept that.
Number 11, Apex Mountain.
Apex Mountain. We got to definitely get to Apex Mountain here. So yeah, was this film at the apex of anyone's career where they were at the absolute, like, at the peak of their powers? Doesn't have to be their best role, doesn't have to be necessarily their most famous, but like, is this when they were at their top level?
I feel there's like the one obvious answer, and that's
Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, at least for American audiences. For American audiences, this is definitely Apex Mountain for Christopher Lambert. For European audiences and for English-speaking audiences.
For non-French people.
Yeah, for European cinema, maybe not. Because he's much better known in France and in European cinema generally. But certainly for the English-speaking world, for like international recognition on this side of the world, yeah, probably so.
It's for someone who grew up as, a kid of the 90s, I suppose. Like I most remember him as Raiden from Mortal Kombat, but like this is certainly, I think, obviously this movie was bigger than that film was.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it turned into being bigger than Mortal Kombat, but it was not very well received when it was released. I mean, it languished a while and then became this kind of cult thing, which is
it could still happen for Mortal Kombat. I'm holding out hope.
Coming up next, Rewatchables Mortal Kombat. It'll be exactly 5 minutes long.
What age the worst? Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
I think we used to describe Mortal Kombat at Laser Force Sacramento as the best soundtrack that did not have a movie attached to it.
That soundtrack is dope.
Mortal Wombats.
Well, I mean, that CD, because yes, kids, we used CDs at the time because that's what was available. That CD, I don't think left the Arena Music player for literally months at a time.
Maybe years.
Yeah.
Well, it was so good. We put it on rotation in the office still, like on a weekly basis. It's awesome. Orbital. Yeah, love it.
Anyway, getting back to the thing we're actually talking about.
Yeah, Shawnee said next movie, Running Man. We'll get there. We'll get there, Shawnee.
We'll figure out what our next rewatch will be.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll get through this first. Epic. Yeah, who did you guys have?
So Christopher Lambert, yeah, for American audiences, for English speaking audiences, I think it's him
Legit.
and not close, right? I doubt it's Clancy Brown, because obviously Shawshank is probably much more well known as a film. This might be kind of his highest billing in a film, where he's essentially like the primary antagonist. But I don't know if this is the definitive like Clancy Brown role.
Yeah.
Like that probably is in Shawshank, where
you could make an argument for
Hadley.
Starship
That's his name,
Troopers,
Captain
too.
Hadley.
You could make an argument for Starship Troopers for him as well.
Potentially,
Yeah, I
feel
would
like
say like lesser.
I think Shawshank reaches a broader audience, though.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I'm just saying you could make the argument. I don't necessarily know that you
Man.
win the argument, but you could at least make the argument.
I wish we studied Starship Troopers in English at school. That would have been awesome. But I'm very glad that we studied Shawshank Redemption and they showed that movie uncensored to a bunch of 15-year-olds. Shock.
A good lesson about why you don't want to go to prison.
Yeah. Scared straight, if you will.
The sisters will get you.
Yeah. But who did you have? If not for Christopher Lambert, who would you put there?
Well, Christopher Lambert for sure. I mean, and there can be more than one winner for Apex Mountain, obviously, because it could be other people's Apex. So yeah, I would again say Christopher Lambert with the caveat that specifically for like American and American adjacent cinema, but maybe not for European and French audiences. Roxanne Hart, who plays Brenda, maybe for film, certainly, I would say so. But kind of like we said with Paul Reiser in Aliens, she has more success on TV. So I wouldn't say this is like her career Apex Mountain.
What else was she in?
She was a series regular on Chicago Hope, a show that I didn't watch, but it's well known enough. Like people know the show Chicago Hope, and she was a regular on it. So
Another
that's
medical
probably her Apex.
procedural. That's what that was, right? It was a medical procedural.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah,
right.
Chicago Hope is a hospital in Chicago,
Right.
so it was another ER medical drama type show. As far as I know, I'm not really familiar with it, but I was looking up her IMDb page, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, she's done other stuff.
she's done
I
stuff.
couldn't remember her from a lot of other roles, but she didn't do a lot of other film.
Right. Yeah.
So
Once you get naked on film, that's your career done. Maybe.
no, not so much.
Not necessarily. For some people, it actually heightens their career quite a bit.
Wild Things.
Oh yeah, it was all uphill, for Denise Richards after that.
Life was peachy.
Life was peachy.
No speed bumps.
For Charlie Sheen, that was a great winning formula.
Tiger blood. There could be only one. Calm down, Charlie.
Anyway,
yeah. Obviously not Sean Connery. We're not really running into a whole lot of other names. So Christopher Lambert, pretty obviously, at least for American audiences.
Ducky keeps putting Starship Troopers in the comments. Is that what you want us to watch next, or?
It definitely 100% should be our next rewatchable.
I'm pretty sure that the Ringer did Starship Troopers.
No, they haven't done Starship Troopers.
I think they did, or they at least talked about doing it on a previous.
Maybe I'll have to see.
Yeah.
If they haven't done it, we got to beat them to the punch.
Yeah, hell yes.
And Stallion has come back and gone, holy shit, you guys are still alive. Yeah, because Alex, did you not know that we can talk?
Especially when the three of us are here.
Rewatchables are always going to be longer eps. Well, especially because we actually didn't start talking about this until about 30 minutes after we were supposed to. So
it was 15. Yeah. 15 at a push.
15.
Yeah, but then we had announcements and all that. Yeah. It's okay. We're almost done.
Denise Richards' other film is what he's referencing as Starship Troopers. You're right. She was also
in
it.
Yes.
Those are the two films.
Yeah. She was real good in it too.
So let's get to number 12. Who won the movie? And
who won the movie?
I'm gonna go with the same answer that I went with Aliens. Laser Force. Laser Force is the ultimate
Boo!
winner of this movie because look at the game we got out of it. Look at the fucking sound files we got out of it. I mean, we to the point that we have literally been, talking now for this pod's gone over 2 hours because we do that, but we've literally been talking for about an hour 45, hour 50 about this movie specifically because it relates to something that we love.
Yeah.
Therefore, Laser Force
Swords.
is the ultimate winner.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it might not have been on our rewatchables list if it wasn't the game in the Laser Force catalog. I'll
Honestly,
say that.
like from a gameplay perspective, it's such a genius game. Like to take the essence of the movie and put it into a laser tag system, it's awesome. Like what a great concept. And maybe it's because they tied it to the movie. They're like, oh yeah, it's just like Highlander. You missile someone, that's you chopping someone's head off. You're like, yeah, fuck yeah, laser tag is cool.
Yeah.
And maybe if it wasn't attached to it, it wouldn't have quite the pull. But like, it's rad. It's a dope game. Oh, thank you for those bits there, sir. Appreciate it. The lighting in here is real bright. The light hardly shows up. But
Didn't somebody say that at the start of the ep?
No, they said that it was terrible. I don't know how terrible.
Maybe they meant too bright.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little over bright. You're gonna have to
tinker
work on that for next time.
It's really
you look
bright
whiter
in
than
here.
me, bro. That's hard.
Yeah, that is hard. I've gone almost French on it. All right, so Laser Force being who won the film.
Winner.
Yeah.
I got a couple other nominees.
Who have you got?
So one, I will say Gregory Wyden, the screenwriter. Writers, I feel like in general, are really undervalued, especially in Hollywood. They're not that famous in comparison to actors or directors, but he kind of built a whole career off of this idea because he developed the script for the film. Supposedly while he was still an undergrad at UCLA, he did it as like a project for some class, and the teacher liked it enough that it was like, hey, you should go take this to an agent, you should sell it. And he sold it for like $200,000 while he was still in college. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's dope.
And he developed this
at the time that he was in college, like $200,000. That would have been a real amount of money.
Shitload of money.
Yeah, that's so much coke.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it had admittedly awful sequels, but it had spawned 3 different television series, and that's not too shabby for somebody coming up with this just while they're kind of spitballing ideas in college. In fairness, though, like Highlander is exactly the sort of shit that like a college student would come up with after they smoked a few too many bowls with their boys on a Saturday night.
It's like heavy metal come to life.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch that cartoon?
Guys. There's these dudes, they're immortal, like they can't die, they have to cut off each other's heads with swords. They'll see who rule the fucking world. And also there's titties. Like,
they're like, sign me up.
Exactly what you come up with.
Well, to be fair, pretty much everybody likes titties. So, I mean...
Well, they can't be only... Oh, no, sorry. Think before you speak, Steve. Sometimes it's just better to sit it out. Just let it... Like, it'll come in, and before it comes out here, you just let it go out the other side.
No, man. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Ah, brilliant.
Giving some love to Gregory Wyden, because I'm sure most people don't know who Gregory Wyden is. I don't know anything else that he's written, but I looked up the screenwriter.
That
and I was
guy,
like, okay, cool.
Yeah, he's that guy.
I'm like, yeah, who do we owe this idea to of people running around, cutting off each other's heads with swords and absorbing each other's life energy?
Acid.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
Did you have another choice?
Queen?
That's exactly who I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean...
like I said at the top, like, this movie, the reason why this average-ass movie is so good, or one of the reasons why, I think the main reason why, is because the soundtrack is so good, and it fits so well with everything in the movie. Like, it's all, like, all the tone and pacing that the score sets.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you normally do it in a film anyway, but the fact that it was Queen that took care of that, so good. Gives me so jacked every time I hear it.
Well, and the other thing with that is that Queen was not originally supposed to do the full soundtrack.
Really?
No, I did have that in half-ass center research, and I'd skipped
They were-
over because I felt like we'd kind of beaten that one. But
But you know, since we're bringing it back up, no, they were only supposed to do. I think they were only supposed to do Princes of the Universe.
Right.
I think that was the only song that they were originally supposed to do, and then like apparently either read the script or saw the rushes or whatever, and just fell in love with it. And like each of them
and
started,
Marillion, who was the band who was supposed to, it also dropped out. They were originally, I think, contracted to do the soundtrack,
Right.
but then they had a conflict, and so Queen was just like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it."
That's so awesome, man.
And they decided they loved it, and like each of them was like writing different songs for it, because you know everybody in Queen is super fucking talented, and they all contributed songs to it.
Yeah, Freddie, Brian May, the other guys, all of them.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know anybody besides Freddie Mercury and Brian May. I'm sorry.
I should, but I don't, and that's just bad on my part. But but yeah,
and
like
the rest.
And the rest, yeah. But yeah, they were not supposed to do the entire soundtrack. They were supposed to do a song, and the band that was supposed to do it. They, if I remember right, like they ended up going on tour or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what their conflict was, but that was what looked up specifically, was that Marillion had a conflict.
I'm pretty sure it was a tour commitment, and
that is the most common reason.
It's one of those things that they look back on like, well, that was fucking stupid. Like, we should have done this instead of that. But I mean, then you start getting into that whole you know spiderweb domino thing of, well, if it's not Queen doing the full soundtrack,
is the movie as popular?
Is the movie, does the movie have the same emotional resonance with certain scenes? Because so yeah, that's just one of those things that just kind of worked out in a way that was advantageous for us. And really for Queen as well, because because Princes of the Universe, because that song got used. I know it got used in the TV series. I feel fairly certain that it probably got used in the sequels as well at various points. I say that
it didn't get used in the second one. I don't know about the other sequels, but we don't need to talk about it.
No, but the fact that it was used in the TV series, that's that's this constant income stream, because the music is being licensed constantly to be used in that context.
Yeah.
So
like, my only fear is that Queen's gonna have to send like a cease and desist letter to the upcoming like political campaign of Donald Trump Jr. whenever he decides to run for president, because I feel like that's the kind of song that he would like want to use at their campaign rally.
Well, they certainly wouldn't be the first people to send them cease and desist or saying, "Stop using our fucking music, you fucking asshole."
So, like, Eminem had to send a cease and desist letter to the National Party down here.
Hang on. What the fuck song of Eminem's was National trying to use?
Lose Yourself. Bum bunch, bum bum bunch, bum bum bum. Yeah,
You had just one chance to throw the people who picked COVID out of office. Would you take it?
And the answer to that question is no.
Well, the mom spaghetti that they reference is on a pizza. It's the spaghetti on a pizza. Yeah, that was really fun. Look that shit up. It's funny as shit. I think John Oliver did a whole piece about it. It's pretty good.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to wrap my head around National using Eminem's music, and for the non-Australia New Zealand audience that doesn't know why this is funny. National is essentially
they're the right-wing party.
Yeah, they're kind of the equivalent of the Republican Party in.
They're not as crazy as the Republican Party.
No, they are not as insane as the Republican Party is in the U.S. But it's the same sort of thing. Like you would not expect the Republican Party to use Eminem's music,
This
you would not expect national.
M is off the
Yeah.
chain.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah, no, that's certainly not national.
No, not even a little.
As an honorable mention for that category, I put Sean Connery because he was only in the movie for like 10 minutes, and he killed it.
But he is arguably like something you most associate with the film.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I guess you could also throw Christopher Lambert in there because, again, at least for American audiences, it's his most iconic role.
Yeah, but he was like average.
Yeah.
There can be only one.
There can be only one.
You joined us just in time, Laser Force Tournament, for us to be at the end of our show.
Yeah, you missed the Michael Brandt Heat Check Award.
What are we talking about? Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
we are talking.
You totally missed your award, Baines, because you're fucking useless and can't show up anywhere on fucking time. So good job.
But yeah, feel free to watch the video on demand or head over to our YouTube channel and watch that if you're feeling lonely. Did I put it on? Let me just quickly see. Did I set it up? Boom! I did. Yes.
Yay!
Or wait for it to drop on Spotify, or is it on Google Podcasts also?
Just Spotify, YouTube, and Twitch VOD for 2 weeks.
Give us a 5-star rating or whatever the fuck you do on all these platforms.
Smash
I don't know how
that
things
like
work.
button. Hit the notification. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up. That was a pretty extensive look at a movie. This podcast was longer than the film.
Yes.
Yeah, we broke the cardinal rule of the rewatchables.
But you know, they are.
We had announcements. It doesn't count.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you get rid of the announcements, we're about 2 hours. We're about 2 hours into this.
We're still longer than the film because the film was an hour 56 with credits.
But you know,
Deleted scenes.
Who wants to live
Special
forever?
edition.
You started the sequel?
No,
that's about as much of the sequel as I watched. The first 15 minutes when they were in a weird elevator, the space elevator. Right. Well, that'll probably do us for this week, unless you guys wanted to touch on anything else to do with the film. Any closing?
No, we've been talking too long. I gotta pee. Wrap this thing up.
You've got a cup there. Chop that. Reuse it. Or not a can.
Not the can.
I think you're right. You don't have a toilet. You're accurate. You got to pee off the balcony.
Pee on your downstairs neighbor.
You got to pay extra for
that's
that.
what you get for not telling me about the leak.
Leak this, bitch. Right. So, coming up this week, we'll be back with Laser Force Live. We are back for Thunderdome Thursdays. We're going to try and figure out what to play on that. We played For Honor last week. Speaking of hacking at each other with bladed weapons, that stream was actually really entertaining. So if you've got a spare 2 hours, another 2 hours, go and watch that on VOD. We'll figure out something to play for this week. Somebody suggested that we play a fishing tournament, which I think would be hilarious. Seeing as I've got a new high-spec machine that we can watch me bass fish. Bass fish, sorry, bass. Next week.
Is that wide mouth bass?
Yeah, wide mouth flying V bass. We don't have bass fish in New Zealand, so whatever.
Clearly.
Obviously.
Got the bass and the trute and the salmon.
Baby, you got a stew going. We'll be back next week with the resupply, and then we have D&D next week. No D&D tomorrow, unfortunately. But seeing as I have this machine and I have nothing I'm supposed to be doing tomorrow because my wife is going to do fun shit without me, I might just jump on and stream something. I'll find something to play. Maybe me and Gray will play some fun games together. We'll see.
Thunderdome Saturday. Thunderdome Sunday.
But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you next week.
There can be only one.
There could be only one. See ya.